Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning, Emanuele. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for your availability. So, good morning, everybody. We are ready to start the third edition of our course named Think Up in Otolaryngology. And today we have a dear friend from Spain, a great surgeon and a great expert in a new therapy for OSA, because we well know that OSA is not only an obstructive disease, there is also collapse of pharyngeal structures, and we well know that the surgery is fantastic for obstructive problem, not very much for collapse. So maybe this kind of therapy can help us to ameliorate also our surgical results. So, Carlos, if you want, you can start, and then after 20 minutes, 25 minutes of your lecture, we can have space for questions. If
Perfect,
you want,
Manuele.
you can share your slides.
Okay. Are you sharing now? You see?
Not yet.
Wait a moment. I am trying to see. Let's see. Let's see, one moment. You see now?
Not yet, but
you see now?
You maybe you can open your presentation.
I am opening.
I don't know, but okay, maybe.
You see now? I am sharing my share now. You see?
No.
I am lying back.
Yes.
Let's see. I am closing now. In a presentación. Close. I am sharing now. I am going now. There's one moment. You see now?
No.
I don't know.
Recording in progress.
See now?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Too early, okay? Well, many thanks for the presentation.
Carlos.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manuele, for the presentation. It's a real pleasure to be with most of you that you are very, very good friends of mine. And I'm going to share my personal impression for me and for my group. I work only in a private practice in Marbella and Campo de Gibraltar. And well, when we are talking about the sleep apnea, we have always, well, this is my final disclosure. We'll speak later about this app, that is our gym. But when we are speaking about the sleep apnea, ENT must never go alone. Always must be in a team. And the team always must be formed by a pneumologist, orthodontics, a speech therapist, and some fellows that follow your activity. So it's very important that you must have in mind that by yourself, you are not going to go very far. So the idea is that always to work in a multidisciplinary team that will add for our patient of sleep apnea. That is really the aim of our practice. So, well, what is the situation now when we started with a myofunctional therapy in sleep apnea? The question is that when we are talking about myofunctional therapy for ENT, it's very difficult to understand why we are talking about this. If you understand, we are very lucky that we have all the anatomical basis, all the physiological basis to understand why we have received patients that are suffering myofunctional disorder, and in the end, they develop sleep apnea. So what is a myofunctional disorder? What is a myofunctional disorder and why in-house? Well, the question is that you will understand why we're talking about this and why it's so unknown. Well, you will know that myofunctional therapy is done by myofunctional therapists. The main problem is that these specialists, mainly in USA, they are not scientists tested. They are not scientists. They don't have scientists interest in a sleep apnea or a sleep disorder. They have other issues. And the situation is that this is the first time that a sleep apnea that is a life-threatening condition is treated by faculty that is not aware and is not that has not the medical knowledge about this disease. So the problem is that they cannot go through with a scientific basis. So it's a therapy that has a very, very low scientific basis. I don't say this. This is written by the team of Ecker. So they say that the myofunctional therapists, they don't have, in this article, is very interested. They are aware that the myofunctional therapists, they are not interested or they don't have the basis. On the other hand, the problem is that there are no economical concerns. So if there is no economical concern, as you be aware, the reason to make RCT is very, very difficult. So the science is not going to support this therapy. But the question is that where we can see that this, under my opinion, is the perfect storm. We have practitioners that don't have scientific basis. We have a situation that there is no economical concern. So this is the perfect storm, but this therapy that has all the scientific basis to be useful cannot go through. So my impression is that this is a red pion, but honestly, it's a white king where we see them. Why we're talking about myofunctional therapy? Well, this is the guidelines of the Spanish sleep society that consider that sleep apnea, that myofunctional therapy is at the same level of the other known therapies. Here was written this. This is a merit of my friend Dr. Plaza that wrote this here, and as you can see here, is at the same level. The idea is that this cannot. But if this cannot and is at the same level, why we are not aware, we don't have the scientific basis for this therapy. But the problem is that you can see that you can understand that this is at the same level. But in the reality, when you see the article and you see inside, this is a false image of this paragraph. Reality is only indicated by the very selected cases with mild or moderate sleep apnea. So in the end, it's a minor therapy or known as an alternative therapy, despite it's at the same level or the other known therapies. So it's the same that appear than upper. But reading to the posthumous article of Guilleminot, that all we are aware that is the father of the sleep apnea, in his last manuscript, he considered that hypotony is the reason of the sleep apnea. Well, but how you can measure hypotony in our patient of sleep apnea? Are you aware? When Guilleminot was talking about hypotony, was talking about myofunctional disorder. But this myofunctional disorder is measured in all the upper airway guidelines that are using for examining our patients. Dr. Correa, he was a visitor of us. We say the idea, you have to evaluate all the upper airway guidelines that are revising the anatomy of our patient of sleep apnea for all the world, and no one of them decided to make any evaluation of the hypotony or evaluation of the myofunctional disorder. None of them. And none of them recommended an assessment of the lingual frenulum. Only one, that was our guidelines, as I told to you, because our friend Dr. Plaza evaluated this kind of myofunctional, introduced the word myofunctional. So this is the actual situation of the myofunctional evaluation in all the upper airway guidelines for the all sleep societies in our world. The reality is that our patient has three problems, and this is evaluated by many scientific bases. They have problems with nausea, they have problems with praxis, they have problems with tone. Patients with a sleep apnea, some of them, they have a low tone. They have problems to make any movements through the tongue. We have problems with the praxis, and they have problems with the nausea. They cannot identify foreign bodies with a determinate shapes inside the tongue. And this is why, because this is a sensory motor deficit. The patient of this kind of problems, they have, because of the sleep apnea, because of the problems with the hypoxemia, the brain has not problems. They create sensory motor disorder in the upper airway muscles, but this is not measured for any evaluation now in all the guidelines. In our state-of-the-art reported with Marina Carrasco, we evaluated that if you make a state-of-the-art, they evaluated that, yes, at the word MT is useful for treating sleep disorder, has a level 1A, that you can say that this really is a safe word therapy for to treat this patient. And answer to this, they have in 3 word 1A. You know that these are very interesting and very useful, helpful for your practice. So why we don't introduce myofunctional therapy in our practice? As I told to you, there are not randomized clinical trials. This is our 4 randomized clinical trials. We have finished 2. We are starting now again 2 more. And this is the only way that we can add some scientific basis for this now. As we are aware, there are no financial support to do this investigation. But what is a myofunctional disorder? It's very simple. The problem is that when we are doing a shadowing, always our tone is doing the movement from up to back. If the movement has any tone restriction, the movement up to back, that is done 2,000 times every day, this movement is compensated by movements of other muscles that are imbalanced with the tone. This is very important to detect when you are a child, because this will connect it in the future with problems with other muscles that are connected with the collapse of the pharynx that we are not aware with the DICE. This balance is the same that we are now that are in the balance with the muscle with the pharynx. This muscle must be completely negative. There was no pressure, and this is the orbicular, and this is the tongue. This is the normal movement, and if movement is not done, there will be a compensation, and you will have all the functional disorder that are evaluated with our myofunctional therapies. If as ear, nose, and throat are available, that we know that the tongue must be always in this movement from back to from up to backward, and this movement cannot be done. If we detect this early, we are going to prevent to have problems in the back part. You know now that there is a connection between the buccinator and the constrictor superior, and this disorder is translated in the pharynx muscle. As you can be, this is a long-term evolution, but this is the theory that connected the orofacial disorder with the pharynx disorder and the sleep apnea disorder. You can see that this is like a catapult. This is the balance that you must have in mind. This is the idea. If the tongue cannot do this movement, you will have a problem. This is a patient with a sleep apnea. You can see how it's compensating with a tongue tie, doing all this movement with swallowing. This is a normal swallowing connected with this functional disorder. This is very important to be aware that the balance is broken, and we have the key to identify in an early way to identify and to prevent a sleep apnea disorder. They are a child that if we are not aware, they will connect it with problems with sleep apnea in the future. This patient has been operated for tonsils, for adenoids, for turbinate, and remain snoring because has a problem with a tongue tie. You can hear how is the restricted, and the patient has keeping the tongue down, and when she's doing the swallowing has a problem. If we don't treat this problem in the future, there will be a problem with the constrictor. So this is very easy way to examine it and to prevent in the future. Just only to get to swallow and just to ask where is the located the tongue position. It's only a question, where is your tongue located now? And ask to him, to her to swallow, and you will see how is a compensation, and this is connected with this functional disorder to refer. You can see this is a compensation because the tongue is doing the moment. This is a normal swallowing, okay? What is the clinical evaluation of the actual paradigm? Okay, when we see a patient in our consultation, we have to see just only this, to ask for the posture, for the breathing, for the swallowing, for the lip position, for the lingual frenulum position, or for the strength. You can have only this in 10 minutes every day when you are seeing a patient with the sleep apnea, and you will have an idea that will help for a further therapy with this patient. This is a patient with sleep apnea. This is a patient with this neck. It's very typical, this connection of the neck, oral breathing, a compensation. And you see this tongue tie, you see this malposition of the teeth, and this is connected with a problem. Only this for a long term. Remember, no guideline in all the world say us to see this frenulum. So this is a really mistake. And this lady has 17 AHA, can be operated tonsils, can be operated nose, but until you don't solve this problem, he's going to keep having this problem until you correct the pushing of the tongue. How we evaluate the tongue tie? Just only with the evaluation with the Hasselbacher protocol. We ask to the patient to open maximum. We ask to the patient to put the tongue position. And if there is a very big difference between two, we have to say that there is a problem, a restriction with the tongue. You can see a big tongue you can see a tone tie, but there is a normal functional and the tone is located up, you can forget that there is no problem. We use this, and for investigation, we use the Hasselbacher protocol that is a functional assessment. But in order to be faster, we can use the Hasselbacher that takes us only 2-3 minutes to evaluate the tone position. What is the position now? Well, we are going to see the situation for Dr. Kefirian. Dr. Kefirian considered that never the tone tie can have a position and interfere with the sleep apnea, with the sleep disorder.
You can do all sorts of nasal breathing exercises, but I have never seen studies showing this effect.
There is no studies, there is no functional support.
During the day, I've never been shown to impact on position during sleep. It has just never been shown. Furthermore, the treatment of ankyloplasty in adults, whether it's cranioplasty or anything else, has never been shown to impact on position during sleep.
Okay, this is the official position of the American Academy of Otolaryngology about the tone tie, about the position of the situation. Well, what is our position? Well, we have a case. This is a patient, a 16-year-old that was presented on the chain. It's a girl with a sleep apnea. We do the you can see the tone tie. It was 14 years old. We do the tone tie. This has a tone tie, and this is the first dice. We asked her to do dice, and this is the situation with the first dice. You can see what is the movement of the epiglottis. So you can see there is a lateral collapse of the epiglottis. You can see the position of the tongue. She has a low IOP. She was referred, and we have first sent to the speech therapist, and the speech therapist, yes, go ahead and do the tone tie surgery. You can see the movement, and then we await this patient, and we do the tone tie surgery, and we repeat the dice. And this is the same epiglottis with the same patient in the same surgery after performing the tone tie. You can see the chain, there is no movement, and the tone is located. But what happened if the patient is not prepared? What happened if we send a patient for ankyloglossia and the patient has not been referred to concentrate? This is a patient with a 71 years old with a tone tie, has a severe sleep apnea, just a tone tie, and we sent to him to a speech therapist. He rejected the speech therapist, and he asked to us to make a tone tie surgery. And we say, well, if you have a tone tie surgery with a low tone and without being referred first to your speech therapist, you can have the risk of worsening your sleep apnea. During the dice, with this the first die, you can see the tone position. It was limited with a severe tone tie. You can see there was some problem with the typing. But the main situation, we do the Hasselbacher, you can see the position of the tongue. And on the other time, the tongue was at T1 position. The tone tie was, you can see this is the position of the tongue. So we go ahead to do the tone tie surgery because the patient asks us, despite we advise to her to have the problem. Sorry. And after doing the surgery, the tone gets worse. And the tone, you can see how the tone is going back. For the one was a T tone. This is something that we advise to the patient, and we don't operate any patient despite is not taking first to do any myofunctional therapy to reinforce the tone or is advised or treated by the myofunctional therapist. You can read our manuscript written by Correa, and you can see that the normal position of the tone is located up. When you have to tie the tone, the position is down. And when you release the tone must be going back to the normal position in this case. But when you have the tone tie, when you are going back, the tone is baking bar and collapsing. You can have this idea the next time that you see a tone tie. I know it's not as easy as to give a cut. It's more complicated. How we can measure the functional in our practice? Well, you have the stereoanalysis test. This is what the doctoral thesis of Dr. Rodríguez Alcalá. You have the IOP. We have in our consultation, but not only ours from the ENT. Also, in the pneumologist consultation, they have their own EMP, IOP, and they measure. They have also the tone digital spoon. And this score, if it's low, below 48, we have reported the reason to have this score done. You can have a myofunctional disorder. It's a patient with hypotony. And you have a score low that 201 grains for you have a problem with an hypotony. This is the way that was the IOP. You say that this is the measure of the buffinator. This is the measure of the way that is measured the genioglossus. we make measure of the glossus, we make the measure of the buccinator, and we have an idea of the state of the muscle of this patient before performing any surgery. You have the video from Dr. Alcalá, how you can, you don't have the option to buy the EOP because it's expensive, it's 2,000 euros. You can buy this for 20 euros, for 25 euros by Amazon. And you can have the option to make this measure, you dot a dot. And this is the way that you have to see how it's putting the elbow in this position and how you always go in the same position. We instruct our patient to have a follow-up about the increase in the strength of the muscle, giving this spoon, and we show in the consultation. So these are the score. Remember, 201. Remember, 48. If you have lowest score with this, you have a possibility to increase doing problems. But what is the main issue about the sleep apnea, about myofunctional therapy, is the adherence problem. The problem of the adherence is not that normally the programs of the myofunctional therapy is question that you give device, you give videos, you give pictures, and the patient will do the videos, we do the device, but you don't have the option to give if this patient has been done the exercises properly or it has adherence for the therapy. The problem is that also there is no reported any manuscript, only we have reported what are the conditions that will increase the adherence for the patient to do myofunctional therapy, to do this therapy. We report this and we show that anatomical restriction and low OP is a good idea. This is the normal consultation. This is a patient that has the idea about to do myofunctional therapy with the app. You can see, we lay later, but this is the normal situation in the patient. You can see how the patient is trying to do exercises with only the tongue. And this patient understands perfectly what is the problem, but this is the main situation that we see later in our app, that the patient has not. You can see how is the normal situation, how is the normal connecting about the exercises of the myofunctional. This never is going to work, and the patient will say, myofunctional therapy has not worked with me. But if you are not pending how are doing the exercises, or you don't have an option to follow up, there is a problem. This is the way that you have the option to see how patients are going to follow up. You have, of course, to have the control, but if the tone measure is low and they have the patient, they have not tone side, they have the option anatomical condition to do the exercise properly, they will have more option to have adherence for this therapy. So it's a good option to have this in mind. What is our experience? We started this in Spain. Was done 7 years ago. We started with the conventional. We follow the Brazilian guidelines, and we have to be honest. It was a complete failure. The patient, they don't have adherence. They don't have any success. So we decided to create our app in order to improve the adherence. You see, the adherence is the patient interact with the smartphone. The exercises will phone in the cloud is connected, and you have the option to see two things. How is the patient doing the exercises? And if the patient is doing the exercises, because it's very important. We have many articles and many science about this app. No one of them has been supported. There was no financial support about this therapy. This app has been received many recognition. We are very proud of them. And the idea is that we have the option to do exercises following with the app. This is the control with the smartphone. There is no interaction with any other issue, any other device. And you have the option to have the feedback with the patient, and the patient has the option with the feedback. That is the idea to improve what is the conventional myofunctional therapy that, as I told to you, always was with exercises and always was with contact. What are the feedback that we give to the patient? This is an exercise. This is a patient that has a collapse here. So we have the option to have the IOP, and we have the option to see the dice. We give the dice and we have the IOP. This patient normally will have a problem with the low IOP. So we do normal IOP. We do recurrent IOP to see if it has increased, and we have the follow-up with the app. And this is another problem with this lateral pharynx collapse in this patient, has this pharyngeal legs. So we increase this kind of exercises that is working with the buccinator. We show the patient the dice, and we explain what is the connection with any sound, with any score obtaining with any muscle. The patient has a feedback that conventional myofunctional therapy nowadays has not this feedback. That is the problem. So we make a randomized clinical trials. It was done by our neurology department, and we have a very good result that has the same score that you can achieve with surgery, have the same score that you can achieve with hypoglossal pacemaker. So it's a therapy that if you do properly, you will have a good result, but you must be done properly. The idea is that if you increase the strength of your muscle, you will reduce your AHE. That's the idea. There was an increase in the IOP. We measure the strength of the muscles. we will have a reduction in the AH. What is our protocol? The protocol is published, and how we work our sleep unit. We work in only one matter: pneumologists, orthodontics, speech therapists, and ENT specialists. This is our protocol. You can read here. And what is the first session evaluation with the TOM Plus protocol? Well, we review subject sleep data, we review subjective symptoms, we review comorbidity, we evaluate hands coordination, we show how it's going to work with the app, we performance functional evaluation, we know how to performance functional evaluation, and if there's any disorder like a tongue tie, we refer straight away to the speech therapist, and we inform about the patient that there's a relationship between the functional disorder and the sleep apnea. We do the IOP testing in the consultation. We do digital spoon if we don't have the IOP. We discuss dice finding if he has, and we discuss later. When we explain the importance of treatment, and we always conclude our consultation with objective of time with the dice, objective of time with the IOP, objective of time with the symptom that we have. After 30 sessions with the airway gym, in case that is the patient with myofunctional therapy, we review the patient symptoms, we review comorbidity, and we repeat IOP. If the patient has increased the IOP, we are aware that the patient has done the exercises properly. Always we ask to the patient repeat the exercises, but normally the IOP says us that there is no increase in IOP, he is not doing the exercises properly. Also with the digital spoon, we evaluate the patient expectation, we repeat the functional evaluation, including a breathing evaluation, but this is not the case. And repeat, if IOP score is not increased, we restart again with the therapy. After 90 sessions with EP, we repeat the sleep study, and we repeat the dice in case that this patient is not for surgery. We have the option, as the dice has changed for a circular to a lateral collapse, we can have the option to offer to this patient surgery that was not done before. Myofunctional therapy is good to prepare patient for our surgery. Myofunctional therapy always will add to our patient without creating any morbidity. What we say to our patient, not only me, also our pneumology department, we say that will be a 20% with complete resolution. We say that we'll have 50% of reduction from the AHA, and there will be 50% that there is no answer. To the patient that start our protocol, I don't say only this. My pneumology department, my orthodontic department also say the situation. So what is the maintenance? We recommend keep with 3 days weekly exercises. We recommend the sleep study yearly. In case of recurrent coming back for hours, keep the CPAP if possible. In those cases, recommended by official guidelines, and recommending follow-up with app like Snorkel app or with digital spoon. We teach patients to do digital spoon, and we teach the patient to use Snorkel app. You can answer yourself, okay, this guy is creating competence with sleep apnea, with myofunctional therapies. It's not true. This is the journal, American journal. This is the first journal was created in the world to treat myofunctional disorder. I was invited as a guest editor, me as ear, nose, and throat specialist, to have a special number about the sleep apnea. So they are really happy with my work. So I am really proud that they are happy with my work. And we are being a guest editor for this journal that has not any financial support and just only is for science. So as I told to you, as a conclusion, myofunctional therapy needs to more studies to assure its efficacy. I will invite all one to visit that. I will invite to do and receive our assistant. We are really happy to be that this is spreading and working. And we are, remember, we are ENT specialists. We are really privileged to recommend myofunctional therapy because we are aware of all the process from the beginning to see why is happening this problem, our problems with the airway. This is a very interesting thought. My inability to identify problem is not proof of the problem. This is what we have now. Remember what was seen by the American Academy of Ophthalmology. There is no functional assessment, no problem. There is no functional disorder. That is the real situation that we have now with this therapy. And I'm really happy to invite to you for the 12th course on OSA. This will help really. I am really happy that Dr. Anthony Moffa is going to come. But I am really happy also to be aware that there will be no collaborator. This is our private WhatsApp that we have in our group. And there is no collaborator because the patient has low IOP, and this patient has done IOP, that's called myofunctional therapy, and they have recovered his tongue position and his tongue collapsed after doing myofunctional therapy. Dr. Plexi that says that these steps and the two before, because of myofunctional therapy, there was no tongue surgery in this course. So many thanks for your attention.
Carlos, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Maybe we have some questions from my group because we don't have questions on the chat. So there is Dr. Francesco Iafrati. Please, Francesco, we have 5 minutes for questions.
Good morning, Professor, and thank you very much for your lesson. I want to ask you, if at the spoon evaluation there is no hypotonia, do you perform any way myofunctional therapy?
Well, the question is that if there is no hypotonia, it's a good question. We offer to the patient that can increase. You have to understand that this is a way to adherence, to create adherence to your patient, and myofunctional therapy always is going to add. Normally, when we have a normal tone, our experience says that this is a patient a candidate for surgery. We understand that when it's a normal tone or an increase of the tone, there is anatomical collapse, and these muscles are fighting against the collapse. So our experience is the patient that is good for to have surgery.
Okay, thank you very much, bro.
Okay. Carlos, there is Simon for another question. Our resident.
Morning, Professor. Thank you for the presentation. One question. After myofunctional therapy, how long after the polysomnography is repeated?
Well, we have the guidelines. Normally, the patient has an objective improvement in the subjective improvement after 1 month. Normally, we repeat after 3 months, after 90 sessions. We see that the patient will have aware of the situation, but the idea is that it has the subjective improvement comes for the patient that have the low IOP. They will increase when they are increasing the IOP, the subjective improvement is noticed by the patient, is noticed by the partner, and this is the feedback to have the follow-up. In our guidelines, we repeat after 3 months. This is the guidelines for the pneumologists and for our department.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Carlos, there is our friend, the Queen of Queens from Poland, that wants to comment your lecture. Eva. Eva, do you hear us?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know.
Eva.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Fine?
Yes, everything is fine.
Carlos the Great from Spain.
Yes, Carlos, I would like to congratulate. It is really great. I'm so sorry I was a little bit late for your lecture, but I at least half of it listened to. Congratulations for being an editor. It is really a wonderful achievement. And I am following your work with AOS and EOP. I am so sorry it's not available in Poland, but hopefully there would be other companies that maybe can spread this device. So I would love to add it. And, I have a little bit hard time. Maybe you can advise us how to really encourage speech therapists to work with the patients, because this is my problem. I always, before the surgery, as you taught us, as I learned from you, encourage the patient to go through the myotherapy before we take them to OR. I have hard time how to encourage my therapists and how to encourage patients to go through this 3 months of therapy. Do you have that problem? Because it seems that you don't. It seems that you just find the patients like this for the myotherapy. And how you do this?
Well, the question is that with hard work, with being with mouth to mouth, because this is something that is recommended from all over our region. And this is very difficult. I'm inviting my functional therapists, speech therapists to be aware about the sleep apnea disorder. The main problem here, as I told to you in my first slide, is the perfect storm. We are having a therapy that is not supported by any financial support. And we have therapists that are not interested in sleep apnea. That is the main problem. They are not aware about what is in an AHA. They are not aware about what is an sleep disorder breathing. So if they are not aware about it, how is possible that they can explain that they are doing exercises to explain to the patient and to get adherence to promote to them? This is the real problem. So what we can do, our ENT, just invite, explain, spread, just explain the situation, and then we are really seeing that it's really working under a scientist basis. You will get your myofunctional therapy with you. Honestly, there is no IOP, and remember, you have the Tone Digital Spoon. There are several other machines in the market, but the idea is always to create. You can change the IOP by another measure of the strength. There are tongue gauge, there are other machines to create a now and before, and just to create an objective for your patient in order to enhance the tone of the muscle. That is the idea: is to have an objective and to have something that we can measure. That is the real trick for this. From before, myofunctional therapy is never measured. In this case, we have an objective measure that all the doctors will like to have, just to have objective measure.
Thank you so much, and good luck for your future work. I'll be following. Thank you so much.
Eva.
And I would like to show you, I have in my office, and I'm going to run to OR in a second and will wear it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva, for your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, for your invitation, and a special hello to all speech therapists and to the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine of Campus Biomedico University connected with us today. So, Carlos, the time is over. Thank you very much for your availability. Wonderful lecture. See you soon. Enjoy your course next week. And
Okay.
we are waiting for you and your wife in Rome as soon as possible. Okay?
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Have a
The
good
same
day.
to you. It's really a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
you.
Carlos.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.